talk a little bit about that. What
Yeah.
inspired? I mean, obviously, you work in the ER here in
Yeah,
LA.
well,
But
I think so much of it is in my work.
yeah,
People die, they get diagnoses of cancer, like big things happen, and in a moment, life really does change. And so, um, and not always tragically or bad, but often in good, profound kind of, the trajectory of your life is never the same things. And so, um, it's big stuff. I wanted to do something that was significant, and where people can tell their authentic stories and just kind of, you know, connect from here on what's really important. So,
are you going to have some of the people that you've saved as well in the ER room? Are you going to have people like that on your show as well? Or?
not at this point. There are some people that I would have loved to have
Yeah.
interviewed. I took care of a woman not too long ago who, she was in her 30s, but in her 20s, she weighed like 500 pounds, and she had a cardiac arrest. She actually
Oh my
died,
gosh,
and they
wow.
brought her back, and totally her life changed. After that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. But it's in another town, and it's hard to make
Yeah.
that happen. But stories like that, where it's like, wow, some people have really had incredible experiences that are worth telling those stories, that we can all kind of, learn from them.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I do here at Life Masters. So on that topic, let's go. I just wanted, somebody who works in the ER, and what you do is not easy, such high pressure, high stress. When was that aha moment when you were a little boy or teenager or whenever it was for you that you were like, I want to be a doctor? Or was it that for you?
There's a moment that I remember where Dr. Quinn, who was a surgeon, gave a slideshow. This is back in the day where there was no, PowerPoint and stuff. He gave a slideshow of the work he did in, I think it was Latin America, on cleft palates, before and after, in these incredible surgeries. And, he was this great guy at church, and I just looked at that and I was like, wow, like that is the coolest thing ever. I want to be that guy.
So you
I
did
wanna
have
do
this
that.
massive aha moment.
This
when
is
you
my
knew.
memory. This is my
Yeah.
memory. I mean, who knows what. My mom was a nurse. I'm sure there were a lot of other influences, but that one really inspired me. Yeah.
Wow. And then was there anything also in your life that just caused you to want to help people and be of service the way that you are today now?
Gosh, there's a lot. I've had a lot of experiences in medicine myself as a patient. When I was in high school, I was in a big car accident, and unfortunately, the car rolled over me, threw me into a field. My pelvis was crushed. I was life-flighted to
Oh my gosh.
Denver for major surgery. I, was in a wheelchair for weeks. I had one of these cages, these external fixators on me. So I had to learn to walk again, all this stuff. So I was a patient in a very real way.
You had to learn to walk again.
When I came out, I was in the ICU for all this time, and like you just sit in a bed for days and you don't move anything.
Right.
And it's incredible how quickly your muscles atrophy. I remember being in the bed and I couldn't not only could I not lift my leg off there's my leg I couldn't lift my leg off the bed, but I couldn't even move it side to side. And that was physical therapy, little by little, kind of building these muscles back up again until, I could walk. I was using a walker and all this stuff. So this incredible rehab and all this stuff. But so as a doctor, I've been a patient, and that definitely, absolutely, influences me in terms of everything from, do we need to stick this patient again and get their blood, to, what's the human experience of being sick and recovery, or when you don't recover, I always felt like I was going to fully recover, and not everybody has that when they're sick. So
At that time when you were in the hospital and you have this cage around your waist, your hips, you felt like you were going to fully recover no matter what.
at the time,
Were you told that maybe you might not?
my dad says they told him that they were worried I might not be able to walk again, or there might be spinal cord damage.
Wow.
Maybe I won't be able to have kids. My daughter's 9. We've checked that out. I can walk, and I played full contact football and squatted hundreds of pounds.
So you're good.
I really did fully recover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how did that whole experience affect your life moving forward?
It's funny you talk about, I fully recovered my body, but it's taken years really for kind of the psyche and the psychological trauma aspects of that to recover from that. I think initially, I almost died, which was a big deal. And I got real philosophical and spiritual. There was a period where I was very religious. I mean, I'd gone to Catholic schools through college, and I just would read all that. I did pre-med in college, but I also was philosophy and theology. And, I came to this conclusion, like, I'm here for a reason, and I want to make a difference with my life. Like, I really want to make something big happen. And it came out of that accident of feeling like, God, I really could have easily died. There's got to be some reason that I'm here,
So it just got you thinking and wondering and questioning. And I went to Catholic school too, so I understand how you might question other forms of spirituality or not. But
I appreciate a lot of all spiritual paths, and just I think the bigger question is what's the truth, like with life, like what in the deeper questions that religion's always tapped into. What's the meaning of life? What's the meaning of my life? So I started thinking about this stuff 20 years ago. And what a great path, medicine, to be with people in their most needed times after I've had this experience and really kind of dig into how profound life can be.
So you obviously went through a tremendous amount of trauma in that situation, and then moving forward, like how did you get out of that, and how did you heal yourself? And now I know you work with people that go through a lot of trauma. So.
Oh man. So, my body heals, and I kind of developed this mission. I want to do something big. I want to do Doctors Without Borders. I want to work internationally. I did a lot of that stuff. I never did Doctors Without Borders, but I worked in Haiti and Africa and Central and South America.
Oh, so you got better, and then you started traveling as a doctor.
I did, yeah.
Nice.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
So
wow.
did all that stuff.
That'll change you a little bit too, from what you see and experience. But yeah.
We could talk more
Yeah,
about
that's a whole thing, right?
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
So then what happened after that?
So I get to this point in my life, and I'm 40 now, and I said to myself, and this is almost like embarrassing to say, but in the last year I've said to myself, okay, I've had fun being single. I think I'm ready to find the love of my life. Like, let's do this for real. What happened was I turned 39, and I was like, God, my life's half over. You could, 78, 76, whatever the expected life. I think I'll live longer than that, but the point is I'm not a billionaire with time anymore. My sands are ticking, and it's like, wow, no, I really want to have a love of my life. This dating stuff, I'm ready to transition from that. So I had been seeing a therapist since residency for burnout and all these doctor issues. And this was her dream, but she's like, okay, you finally want to do this. Let's dig into it. And it wasn't long before we came back to that original accident and had discovered that trauma, that psychological trauma, for me, like when I would get close to people, especially in intimate relationships with women, felt very uncomfortable,
Wow.
It felt this, it's the words used so much, and I kind of hate it, but the vulnerability or the weakness or the lack of control or that felt, it just went back to that accident, these moments where I was almost going to die. There was a moment when I thought I was paralyzed, and I had never processed that in a healthy way, and that was holding me back. And so the crazy thing was, we started doing some therapy, EMDR, eye movement desensitization response, or whatever it is. It's a very known trauma therapy. We started doing some of that at the accident, and what I watched was women who were better matches, more emotionally available, more on the same page.
You just saw this
started coming into my
your life.
Yeah, and it felt right and better to connect with them and be with them in a way that it didn't a couple years ago. And then that kind of opened my eyes. I was like, oh wow, this is where I need to dig in more. This is what I'm doing. It's like to open this up and to feel comfortable with that and
so
to get into that.
What was the connection though between, I know you said vulnerability, but what's the connection between that moment when you were worried about if you were ever going to walk again, or that moment where you didn't know, and you're in the car at its highest, level?
I have this memory of, we lost control. I was in the back seat. Lost control of the car, went like this. It flipped, and I remember seeing, sky, ground, And then the next moment, I'm in this field and I'm pushing myself up and I can't move my legs and I just don't know what's going on. I'm in shock. And we've processed it, but this car flipping, I mean, it was surreal. It was like slow motion. And I know that subconsciously, I was probably like, oh, shoot,
Yeah.
I might die. I never said that here,
Right.
but somewhere down there, that was a trauma. And then I'm in this field and I can't push or get up. And I never remembered this part, but I had talked to a friend later who was with me and who came there. He said that one of the first things I did was ask him to pinch my feet to make sure I still had sensation because I was worried I might be paralyzed. I'd have no memory of that. And so I've kind of blocked that. So my guess is that there were moments in there where I was like, oh my God, am I paralyzed? And that just burned deep at a subconscious level. And, it's this moment where I can't even get up. There's nothing I can do. I'm completely powerless, out of control. And so the connection between that is that and this vulnerability, where when you really put yourself out there and you open yourself up to emotions with another person, like you can't control it. Like you really can't.
I see. Okay.
You can
So
be open to it, and
right.
you can do everything right, but sometimes things don't work out, and that can hurt. And I think for a long time, I would never allow myself to get hurt like that.
Because you wanted to be in control.
Yeah, on a
Yeah, on a
subconscious.
subconscious level, yeah.
I don't know that I want to be in control as much as I didn't want to feel like I did when I was
Wow.
in that field.
Interesting.
And whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, let me just say that. Like, it sounds
It is crazy.
crazy. And the way that,
But I see how it would work, and I see how, yeah.
doing this work and then feeling myself change and go through it, I'm like, but this is so true. And this EMDR thing, you put these buzzers in each hand, and it goes buzz, 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 and you close your eyes, and your eyes go back and forth. And so it's kind of sort of hypnotic. And then the person who's taking you through it takes you back into this traumatic moment, and you reinterpret the events and give it a more empowered meaning than the kind of victimhood that often comes through it. So
now moving forward, I mean, you're in the ER all the time now here, and I can only imagine what it's like to be working in an ER in Los Angeles. Has that affected the way that you relate to your clients, the people that come in and need your help and they're going through trauma and...
It's really easy just to kind of treat the symptoms or treat pain and let people go. But there's so many times when, for example, somebody will come in with abdominal pain, they've had all the tests, they're all negative, and then I'll ask, have you ever been sexually abused or raped or da-da-da-da-da? And they will say yes, and those will connect those dots. So why I'm seeing them, is a trauma that happened 20 years ago. I had one patient that I remember who came in vomiting with abdominal pain. She admitted she had a binge last night, and so I treated her, helped, gave her some pain medicine and fluids and medicine for her stomach. She had a little kind of alcoholic gastritis. Her stomach flared up. And I just sat down for a second, before she went, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, was this just like a night out with the girls? And she opened up that she'd been drinking for a couple months. She had 2 kids. 2 different dads. She was in school, struggling to pay the bills. She had been raped as a child. One of her exes had committed suicide and blamed her. Like, she had all of this trauma. And it's like, was alcoholism, was abdominal pain the diagnosis?
Right.
Was her, alcohol, no, it just goes deeper and deeper. But the real deepest thing was she suffered incredible trauma. And so I don't do EMDR myself, but I sit down with her and I'm like, this is without a doubt the most important, impactful thing in your life. And going to a therapist who can actually dig in and help you, that would change your life. That would be the...
Did she do it?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. So what is life like for you in the ER? I'm sure you get asked that all the time, but I've never even been in an ER. I think I was years ago when, I broke my collarbone on a motorcycle, but I might have been in the ER then. But
Glad you're okay.
yeah, I survived. But what is it like on an everyday basis? Is it just, what's the most stressful thing about it? And
It's not It isn't what you think.
Yeah.
It's intermittent. So like in the morning, if you're there in the morning, like there's not a lot going on from 7 to 10, and then it gets busier. But but at any moment, somebody could come in who had a cardiac arrest outside the hospital, or there's some kind of trauma or gunshot or whatever, or something that you have to drop everything, go to, and respond in the instant. And I think for those of us who do ER, this is gonna sound kind of, I don't know, sick, but we live for those moments. Like we're there, we're ready, like we really want to help people and respond.